The following podcast is brought to you by Cast Content Media.
Hey guys, it's Ron Worley, your most imperfect host of Sons of Ditches. People are liars, thieves, addicts, and assholes. Some people change, and a few make a difference. But everyone has a story. Hey guys, it's Ron Worley with Sons of Ditches. Brought to you today by castcontentmedia.com. You can find me at ronworley.com or sonsofditches.com or go to YouTube at Sons of Ditches. I'm here today with Jayson Garcia from Naturally Inspired Podcast.
Yep.
And you do that with your wife, right?
I do, yeah.
So, and Tammy and you have been doing that for how long now?
She came to me, I think it was it 2019? I think it was 2019, July of 2019, so almost 2 years now.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Man, you guys have blown up.
Yeah.
You're huge.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, it was weird because she just came to me and said she wasn't hearing certain things. She's like, I think I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been a musician since I was like in high school. Had a band and ran all my own sound and stuff like that. So I've been in audio and doing things like that for a long time. So I was like, sure, we'll do it. You know, we'll get it together, and it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. So.
Oh, I was gonna say you probably. Yeah. It's like, I mean, you could drink by the gallons in this industry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So much. I didn't really know much about it, but then learning how powerful like podcasts were, and then seeing how businesses and things are using them also, I was like, totally, it's going to be the next thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, you think about it, there's probably about 1 million, they're thinking about 1 million podcasts out there right now, and it hasn't even scratched the surface. Right. And so it sounds like a lot at first, but you're like, people haven't even scratched the surface, because there's a lot of that come and they kind of go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the hard thing, is I think a lot of people do them and then, they just kind of come and go. So
well, and I think that's where I was headed before I met you guys. And so Jayson also does Cast Content Media. He's the producer of my show. And I was on the verge of just letting it go because it really wasn't my bag. It isn't something I want to do, which is also the reason you're here, is to help me kind of get through these first couple episodes, because I don't have anybody to interview yet. I wanted to get the construct of the season out there before. And so I think you guys are doing a great thing. And I think what your podcast is a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to it if you want to monetize and do these things. So I appreciate you being on, and it's going to help me. For those of you out there, I do have a season 1. There's only 8 episodes. And this season, it's going to be a little bit more legit. I've got these guys on board, thank God. And they're going to make me a little bit more legit so I can get my sort of vision and viewpoint out there on the world, and hopefully help people maybe make some money, but mostly, fix themselves and have some values in their lives. And I think our world is in need.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Some values right now.
For sure. It's going to be it is a powerful thing. It's a powerful form of media because you could be yourself.
Yep.
People can get to know you. So it's casual, but yet you can do a lot of things with it. So I think that it's much needed, and people just need direction. Yeah.
That's it.
And if they can plug into you once a week or however often, that'd be, that's what they need.
Yep. That's it. And hopefully I can just be real about it. I'm a perfectly fallible man, and that's the realness of me. I'm imperfect, and these shows will be imperfect. That's a fact. In fact, this is the second time we've tried to shoot this one because I blew that first one so bad. So,
well, I think it's getting the format. I think, and like it goes back to you saying, how podcasts they're a lot harder. I think some people just kind of fly with it and they just don't really care what they're putting out. But you want it to get your point across, but you want it to be professional, and you have expectations for it. And so I think just getting used to that format of what we're going to do. And it sounds like you're going to bring in some people to interview on Zoom. We've already got people lined up.
Coming up. Yeah.
So,
the difference between last week trying to do this and this week, I really had to, I talked to my spiritual friend who, Jim Hensel, he's like, I'd just been working with him lately, specifically to refocus my be.
Yeah.
The one thing I wasn't doing last week was just being myself. And, and what I mean by be is, you know, who we are at the core, what our values are, not the things we do, but the things that make us us. Values, talent, and purpose. The three main things that the world needs, a person needs, in order to really just get through life and deal with all these adversities that we're dealing with in America.
For sure. In
America, in the world, probably. You know, there's all this stuff going on, and so that's sort of what we're going to make this next season two-part. First of all, every episode I want to find out what our interviewee, what their B is.
Cool.
And I'll ask it to them just like that. You know, what's your B? So talents, values, purpose. And when I talk about B, that's what I mean to be. Now, I believe, and actually Jim and I talked about this too, I can use his language. So when I started talking to him about my values and things, the values I came up with called the Worley Way. If you haven't read my book, that's what the whole book's about, is the Worley Way. That is my B. That's by design. I have purpose thanks to those values. Right. And now your purpose changes all the time. However, you've always got a purpose when you have values. By design. So in talking to him, we talk about the matrix all the time. And the matrix to me it can be anything for anybody, but if you think about the movie, you know, you live in the matrix is life. And for me, life is, it's lies, it's emotion, it's a social construct of what other people want you to live like. There's no individuality, there's no values involved. It's just this emotional, and if you think about all the people running around and they lie to themselves, they lie to you, they're trying to, you know, Facebook even, we have lies on, you know, this is our perfect life. For sure, yeah. This whole, like, just this whole, you know, facade. It's just, people just want you to think something of them, and that, you know, I always think of it as back to. Sometimes I feel bad for people because you see the insecurities kind of coming through, right? And you want, and you just, it's like, man, if they just realize that they have so much power within them, right? But that's why it's important, you know, for you to do what you're doing, to write your book and to do your stuff, because people, I've really realized through life experiences that most people out there don't feel like they have, that they're important, I should say. You know, some of them may feel like they have a talent, they might think of it as a certain way, but they don't really believe in that. And it's because we compare ourselves to so many other people out there. People that are not real, like celebrities. And, you know, the thing with talent is talent isn't acting or, talent is what you're really good at. For instance, mine is giving. You know, I'm a giver. I give to anybody that I confront. So whether it's a good confrontation or a bad confrontation, I'm usually giving to them. And it's a learned thing. It wasn't my talent when I was young. I don't even know what my talents were when I was young, drinking beer. But, you know, we change as we get older and things, and now, rather than have a confrontation with somebody, the way I confrontate, if that's a word, is I use my talent, and that's I give a little to get a little. And you get, you know, and that could be a fault too, give too much maybe, but you know, usually I don't care really. That's just what I'm good at. Well, and that's interesting too, because see, I think a lot of people think like, if you were to go up to the average person and say like, what's your talent?
they wouldn't know what to say.
Right.
Now they may really have a good voice, but they only sing to themselves in the shower.
Right.
Right? Or they may be able to play guitar really well, or they may, and I refer to music because that's my thing, that when I was growing up, that's what I did. But they have these talents, but they don't look at them like they're a talent. And I think I suffered from that when I was growing up. I had this talent, and people would always say, "Oh my God, you're all, whatever, this, that, whatever, and you guys are so good, or you did this or that." But I never thought of it. And I think that's what really started to get me to down later on in life. I really started to find out why I had this love for something, but I didn't feel like I was good enough at it.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
So I think you lacked purpose with it, probably.
Yeah.
You need to combine the two.
Yeah.
You're not good enough until you make money at it, or this is what we're taught.
Right.
But really, I could see your music at that age. Maybe you could have changed some lives.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Using it to change lives, whether it be people younger than you, which I find easiest to talk to. My wisdom is better for people that are younger than me.
Yeah.
People that are same age or older aren't usually open to listening to somebody.
They're more set in their ways.
Yeah.
No matter how their life is going. Right. I see that.
Your music, absolutely, is still, you're doing it today, right? You still play.
Yeah, I still play. I'm recording this gal. I built a studio in my house, and I'm recording this gal who's got a great song, and so I'm still in it and doing that. But I pulled myself away from it for a long time, and I think it was because I didn't know how to. Really, now that I think about it, I didn't know how to take my talent and weave it into a lifestyle with my purpose and what was the other thing? Values, right? So I didn't really know how to do that. I had this talent, but this talent that I had was kind of over here, and then I had these values, and then I had kind of what I thought was this purpose.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
And through life, I've had to learn how to make them, create this synergistic energy between the three.
Yeah.
And try to, and now I'm feeling like, okay, I'm finally kind of getting there, right? But it took a while.
You think about the progression of it. I mean, music has led you into a great podcast now where you guys are touching thousands of lives. Yeah. You've got the studio, you've got the foreground of audio, and your purpose has changed.
Yeah.
Your values have probably changed, and you've aligned those more with the podcast. They kind of align everything.
Yeah.
You've got your talent, and your wife and you each have your own talents.
Yep.
Tammy's great on air, and you're great behind the scenes and get shit done.
Yeah.
I've seen what you're doing for me, and it's just getting shit done that I can't do.
Yeah.
And so when you align all three, you're a force to be reckoned with, and that's proof positive in Naturally Inspired podcast. And I've listened, and you get some great guests in there.
Yeah, for sure. We've been fortunate.
And the cool thing is that you guys seem to learn from your guests along with us.
For sure.
And that is freaking cool, man. You're not an expert.
Right.
The expert's coming in.
Right.
And we all learn together.
Right.
It's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
So,
no, I love that. I'm glad you recognize that too, because we definitely we go after people who we think, oh my God, we can learn so much from them.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, and so then we bring them in and we learn all these things and we do all, and it just makes us want to learn more, do more research.
Right.
So tell me, how did you get into, what inspired you to write your book, and how did you get there?
Yeah. So, and most of you guys know my story, but I wanted to write a book. My daughter was having some rough times, and I wrote her a letter, but I didn't send it to her. I put it in the computer, and I was going to save it for when she was older so that I could remind her of where we were at headspace-wise, because I knew for sure she was going to blame me someday for something in that period of her life. Right. And so I saved the letter, and then it dawned on me, I should just write a book so that my kids know where I'm coming from and what I've transgressed from to being your fallible father right now. Right. And, for me, it was a way to get out of some shit I probably did to them as kids,
Yeah.
But ultimately what happened is I didn't write anything but a bunch of regurgitation on paper.
Okay.
And then I ran into, then I died, had the heart thing happen.
Yeah.
And it became more important then.
Yeah.
I needed to have a legacy. I went through 6 months where we didn't know if I was going to live day to day.
Wow.
And so during that process, I'm like, I got to get this done. And so I met a guy named Aaron Chambers. He has written many, many books.
Okay.
He's a pastor. And he said, yeah, you don't have a book. What you got is a bunch of stuff on paper, great stories, so let's make it into a book. And basically we started over from scratch. I took a lot of the stories, I rewrote them to fit a sort of a plot.
Okay.
Each chapter is a plot, the whole book's a plot, and you just kind of go back and forth with the editing, and what I got was something that I could teach my kids, but also I found that other people have been through some similar things, and they just haven't come out the other end yet, and I wanted people to know that your past doesn't define you at all.
No.
You may have felonies in your past. I don't, thank God, by the skin of my teeth. I don't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I haven't been to prison, but I've been to jail a lot of times, and those things do not define who I am today.
No.
And gratefully, we get to restart life anytime we want to. And fortunately for me, my kids were very, very young when I restarted life, so they've never seen me drink.
Right.
They've never seen me be an asshole, drunk piece of crap.
Yeah.
But that isn't to say that. Thank God, in your 20s you do a lot of dumb shit, and then you can come out of it.
Yeah.
So and what I'm very grateful for is that my kids, the way I've raised them, by the grace of God, I don't know how this happened, but all three of them have learned these lessons that I learned. They're in their low 20s.
Yeah.
One of them's even only 19, and they've seemed to have caught on about life without having to go through the crap.
Did you ever, as they were growing up, share some of the stories with them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All the time. Appropriately.
Yeah.
So at 5 years old, I wasn't telling them the gruesome stuff.
Right.
But, when my kids were getting into high school and they're going to start having sex and drinking, and let me tell you, this is what happens, and this is what abortion is, this is what sex is, this is what committing crimes are.
Right.
And all three kids had their different personalities, and they all three had their different troubles.
Yeah. It's wild how, you could raise kids. I have two of my own. You raise them exactly the same, but it's just, it goes back to individuality, right? It's just boom, like night and day. And I think and those are stories that's what needs to be told to people, because they don't realize the power they have within them, just within their own life experience, right? It's so funny, because now that I think about it, I think really subconsciously the reason why Tammy started a podcast was our son came to us probably 2 years earlier, and he was, he's 18 now, so he's probably like 15, somewhere around there. No, 14.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow, 14. So at late 13, maybe 14 years old, he came to us and said, "Hey, I think I want to start a podcast." And so my son hated school. Mm-hmm. So the way we kind of connected him to almost real life is, and to try to escape from school, is we loved to watch comedies with him, and we took him to go see Dana Carvey and all these all these things, right? So just to try to get him to see, like, hey, there's it's okay to be kind of the funny guy, because he was always funny as a kid, but I think at times he didn't really know if he should be funny at certain times, right? So he was into comedy, and so I started telling him even at a younger age, 14 and stuff, hey, there's a guy named Joe Rogan, hey, there's this, there's that. So he started listening to that. Sure. And he came to us and said, hey, I think I want to do a podcast. And we were like, cool. So we have this outbuilding. We created this little studio for him.
That's awesome.
And we were like, I said, hey, I'll do it for you. I'll help you out, whatever. And we got these little cameras set up and everything, because I thought, well, we'll try it. We'll test the waters. And his friend was supposed to do it with him. He didn't do it with him, right? But my point is, and then he didn't do it. But my point is, I think Tammy subconsciously thought, he showed interest in a podcast. I'm going to do one and model for him and say, hey, I'm doing it, you can do it, right? And so I think a lot of us, as we go on through life and have these life experiences and get plugged into personal development, we understand the power of modeling. Right.
100%.
Because that's how we're learning. I mean, we didn't learn the personal development stuff in school. It was through the modeling of other people writing the books or going to seminars or having these courses and stuff, right?
100%. They don't teach entrepreneurship in school.
No.
They don't teach that. Unfortunately, schools are very limited on what they teach you. You know, when you use someone else to help you with an answer on a test, it's called cheating. Yeah. But in life, it's called cooperation. Right. Yeah. And that's what an entrepreneur does. Yeah. And so they, you know, your son, all of us have been modeled to do this, you know, this regiment of schooling, and hardly maybe 1% fit in that model.
I agree, man.
You know, and that's a made-up number.
I didn't fit in there.
You're right.
Did you fit in there?
Hell no. I hated school.
Right.
I could do it.
Right.
But I didn't like it and didn't want to, and I got kicked out of it and all that good stuff. So
yeah, I left. I mean, finally one day a counselor called me in because I wasn't doing that well. She called me in. She's like, "What do you want to do?" And I told her, I said, "I want to do, you know, I think I want to be a musician." Yeah. And she said, "That's great. You know, I played trumpet in high school, and I went on to college, and I was part of the marching band or some shit," she said. And I said, "Okay." I said, "That's cool." And I was like getting into the story because boom, she was making this connection. Right. And then she fucked up and she said, "But I think you need to pick a real career because very few get to be able to do it for a living." Right. And I was like, I remember the day, and I got up from the office, and I said, "Fuck this place." Yeah. You know, I'm
there
out.
It is. That's what they do. Yeah. So do you think lately, when we were kids, that was it? There was like a couple of ways to become an artist of any kind. Right. You know, you had to make it big. Somebody had to find you. You had to be talented. Well, now you can just do your own thing. Go onto YouTube and become a star because you have good music, not because some guy found you.
It's amazing, and you know, that's the one thing I've always, you know, Tammy and I, when we first met, we would talk and stuff, and you know, we came to the conclusion early on before we had kids, like, it doesn't matter what they want to do. Right. Our job is not to steer them to do a certain career, right? Yep. Kind of, you know, our job is to figure out how they can do what they love to do for a living. Yeah. Right? And so you think about it like, you know, Joe Rogan was like, let's say for Joe Rogan, for an example, because we mentioned him before, and he's a big podcaster, right? You know, he got started as a comedian, and then he went to Hollywood, and then he landed a gig hosting a show. Fear Factor. And, Fear Factor. And then he went on, and he was able to, took some acting classes, went on, was able to do some acting and stuff. But that wasn't really his big thing. It was the podcast thing that launched him into the next, you know, into basically a next career, right? Yeah. And so, you know, he figured out a way to sit around with his friends and talk about stuff, life and everything. Right. And he figured out a way to monetize that, right? Beautiful. And that's what my job and Tammy's job is, to figure out how to monetize what our kids love to do. Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is. It's
beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but it was only through the life experience, the ups and downs of going through what we went through, that we started to figure these things out. Right. Right? Because, man, I played music when I was a kid, and I could have taught music. I could have wrote music for movies. Right. I could have been in other bands. I could have. I mean, you start to think of it that way, which I didn't think that when I was playing. I thought, oh my God, I got to write a hit song. Right. Or else no one's gonna care.
So the byproduct would have been all those great things if you just had connected to your purpose and went out and sang and wrote and just did what you loved, and gave it to the people for free. You would have been, the byproduct is money, success,
always,
because you're connected to your be. You're just, that's who you are. I think our buddy George Gray is probably epitome of that,
Yeah.
with his Elvis stuff.
Yeah.
He's not a millionaire from it. He's got money from other things probably, but he's on the radio show, and he's just that's just who he is, and he's that model around town too.
Well, you could see it. You could see it in him, in his personality, and the way he connects with people.
Yeah.
You could see that.
Right.
So he doesn't have he is who he is, and he's been able to monetize it. By being who he is, and not really, and not caring about all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
When so many people are so focused on, I gotta have this, and I gotta do that, and I gotta have the big house or this, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but because goals are good, but getting sidetracked and pulled away from your, like you say, your B, right? Mm-hmm. Your purpose, your talents, your true talents, things like that, figuring that stuff out.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a while to figure that stuff out. Yeah. And sometimes you have to, eat ramen noodles for a while, or, what I mean? Like, we've all kind of had to do that, right?
Yeah.
But once you hit it, then it's like, then you're off to the races.
Right.
And the rest of your life, like, one of my favorite quotes is like, this is the first day, today is the first day of the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
So like, get people to understand that you're not, what your past doesn't define you, like you were talking about.
Yep.
So important, man.
It is, and thank you so much for coming on this one.
Sure.
We're going to do another show here in a little bit.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows, we're going to be wearing the same clothes.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Sons of Ditches, brought to you by Cast Content Media. Again, find me on ronworley.com, YouTube at Sons of Ditches, or sonsofditches.com.
Yep.
Got them all in there.
Got it.
We'll see you at the next one.
Sounds good, bro.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to Sons of Ditches. For more information, go to my website, ronworley.com, and my YouTube channel, Sons of Ditches. Facebook, Ron L. Worley, or Instagram at Ronald L. Worley II.